Thank you so much for turning up to listen to me. My name is Amy Lobay, and before we get into my kind of discussion around getting to know you or my clients, I thought I'd let you get to know a little bit about me. So I'm a product designer. I've got about 12 years experience, and I am super passionate about accessibility, user experience, sometimes even design. This is little Amy, and I have always been obsessed with the way that things work. I was mystified when I realized that we didn't just design things in the best way they can be designed, and then mildly mortified when I realized that there isn't even a best way. So I was passionate from a young age, basically. I work for Seccl, and there's some official jargon on the screen. That means we are a business-to-business financial technology scale-up. Say that a few times quickly. Business to business is a whole different area for me to get into, but I am loving it. This is us. You might be able to spot it's not our average day at the office. This is from our Pride celebration earlier in the year. I thought I would take a moment to introduce you to some of our engineers, because they are actually who the problem and solution that I'm going to take you through today is for. It is worth noting that it is really difficult to get photos of your growing team during a pandemic. And therefore I apologize that this slide is not as representative as it should be and as it could be with the team members that we have today. So these people are the backbone of Seccl. They're the ones who make us seem whizzy and shiny and fast-paced and really up-to-date with technology. All those really important things that you want to display when you are a startup disrupting a massive industry. The problem was, they didn't feel like they could develop based on anything other than what was written on a JIRA ticket. JIRA ticket's the famous destructor of all creativity. And our teams are really invested in the company. So it seemed unfair for them to be striving for Seccl to succeed with only half the information they needed. They didn't know how to challenge the priority of different tickets or issues because we weren't giving them the information that they needed to do so. In short, they hadn't met our clients, the people using our systems on a day-to-day basis, the ones they are developing for. Pretty standard for an engineering team, right? But how weird is that? You wouldn't expect me, who is someone who crafts experiences for people, to build something for people I have never met. And it just felt entirely wrong. I understand that in business to business, things are sometimes slightly different, but our developers weren't even aware of what our clients did on a day-to-day basis. I set about doing as all good designers do, stealing from my experience. At Seccl, we really like to experiment. It keeps things fresh, and it keeps us from dwelling on things that aren't working. In the past, when I've needed to learn about something for a new client, perhaps an agency I was working for, or any new project, I have run discovery sessions. These are broad, sweeping sessions in which you intend to learn not only about the problem that you are to be briefed on, but also everything about the company that you are working with. And I think that's a starting point, but this fix couldn't just be a one-off. So this is a government digital services empathy lab. And when you're going to learn about accessibility, obviously a huge area of passion for me, this is a great way to get started. These labs have different equipment, goggles, headphones, sometimes even tape, to help you experience an access need. And once you have experience of trying to use a digital tool with that access need, you suddenly get all sorts of ideas and empathy about how you can design better solutions for your audience. And if we're talking about gaining empathy for your customers, actually, let's look at some really experienced people at Clark's, the shoe shop. Every year, they offer people who work in head office the opportunity to work in a store. Happens to be their busiest time of year, so it really helps them out with staff. But the people who go and do that immediately come back to head office with new ideas of how to make things better for staff and for end customers. So empathy is a really important factor in prioritizing and making sure your business is going the right direction. Entering customer deep dives. So we took the principles from a discovery workshop and the purposes of an empathy lab and combined them to create customer deep dives. A customer deep dive is presented to our clients as an opportunity to vent. If they've got any pain points, any frustrations, or anything that's really helping them, this is where they come to do it. Obviously, we have other channels, but this is a really good opportunity. And this is how we get the most from a customer deep dive. We don't approach the client with a set lot of questions, as you would normally expect to in user experience research. We don't necessarily have a strict goal in mind. The approach is to tell them we would love to hear what is grinding their gears, what is making them happy or making their lives easy, and what processes they are actively going through at the moment. We're looking to make this research as close to ethnographic research as possible. So when we can, we would love to go into their offices, but for now, we are doing it all remote. And that looks a little bit like this. So we have product managers, engineers, a head of propositions, and myself in a call with one of our clients. And in this call, our client is telling us all about her woes during a rebalance, which is a pretty standard thing to have to do in our industry. And Luke, who is seen as the engineer just beneath me on this picture, said, just seeing the system with real data and being used by someone with specific intent when she shared her screen was really informative. So while we've got this picture of all of our faces here, normally what you're seeing is the client's screen as they take you through a process. And in conclusion, as with all good experiments, it was a huge success. We now regularly, and for us that means every couple of weeks, run customer deep dives. We cycle through the various customers that we have, from those who are just onboarding and getting started with us to our longest standing clients. And we have found things out that we never would have known with a narrower field of research. So here are some quotes from Kate Harris, one of our clients, saying how positive she felt about the deep dive session, how simple actually some of the problems she thought she had were, but to our engineers were a big revelation. And from internally, James Bartlett, our product manager, well, one of our product managers, I should say, thinks it's really crucial to build empathy with our clients and our end users so we can make decisions that really suit their needs and their own priorities. Let me get a little bit more practical. Here is how we did it. At Seccl, we have a bit of an unhealthy obsession with Mural. You might have used Miro or Miro, the online another version, but we use Mural. And with this collaborative whiteboard, we produce loads of post-it notes around a problem, this potential solution, and then the pros and cons of that solution. We worked out that we needed to get these sessions working now, so we started them remote, whereas at first I thought they couldn't be done remotely. We overcame the problem. Also, because they are remote, we don't want too many people bombarding the customer at once. So we limit the number of people on each live call and then host watch parties afterwards where anyone can join, but they've got time booked out in their calendar just to watch and listen to customer feedback. What went wrong and what went right? Okay, so we're ready. We have emailed our clients, and it was a slick email. I used HubSpot and everything. No one responded. Turns out that timing is everything. And the end of the tax year is probably not the best time to ask your financial advisor clients to give you some feedback. And also, the email I sent was just too polished. It looked like marketing spam, if I'm honest. So I tried again, using a bit more real language. Internally, I was worried. I mean, I had made a big deal out of this, and I was still pretty new to Seccl, so I really wanted this to succeed. And it turned out okay. Eventually, with a little bit of poking from our fantastic customer team, we started getting responses. We also added it to the Net Promoter Score questionnaire that we send out. Just at the bottom of that form, would you mind taking part in this, giving us some feedback? So people were in the right frame of mood. They were giving us feedback already, so it felt like no problem to give us a little bit more. On the day, it's really important not to overwhelm your customers or your clients. So I would brief the sessions in much the same way I do any research. You know, there are no right or wrong answers. There are no stupid questions. And the kind of additional information is that there's no tailored aim for this session, and we just want to listen. And actually, most of the time, I would be silent. I then have some rules in place. So these are the rules. I'll run you through these. I need 2 volunteers to take notes. 1 takes notes around emotions, and I want timestamp notes on customer was angry when talking, or customer seemed really happy. The other takes notes around the processes. So started to show us the rebalance process at 10:04 in the meeting. And we can combine those two. And actually, when we use our platform for voice communications, it will automatically provide a searchable transcript of the conversation. So I get extra notes. And the best thing about this is I don't have to take any myself. We have a chats channel separate to the meeting, and people who are on the call but remaining silent funnel any questions they have through me. So I can keep an eye on that, and the client only has to listen to me, one person, for any questions. I then ask them to keep chat in that other channel. By them, I mean Seccl, to keep chat in that other channel to a minimum, because I have to read any questions that are coming in. I always forget to record sessions, but luckily with point 4, I always get a helpful reminder from one of my team. So that works out well. And then possibly the hardest is actually that we are not there to solve the problems at that moment. We need time to listen to the problems, qualify them, do any further research, and then look at how they get prioritized with our other work. And so we have an answer to questions like that, which is very much, thank you so much for bringing that up. We'll certainly take that away and have a look at it, and we'll keep in touch with you about any outcomes from that discussion. So those are my rules of a customer deep dive, and that is how they work. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you learned a lot from this talk. Please feel free to reach out to me. I'm always on LinkedIn, or hopefully we will chat to each other someday. Thanks.